horror movie open tonight. There's a lot of controversy over this one.
It really is the end of an era. Blockbuster will close all of its remaining stores.
It is a sign of the time. The movie gallery hit the stop button for good. Hollywood Video is closing nearly all of its metro area stores.
Absolutely no one under 17 will be admitted.
Hi everybody, welcome to the first episode of VCR Horrors. My name is Wade, and I am sitting inside the Atomic Video Store. What you're seeing behind me here is part of the set from the feature film Friday Night Frights, which I'm making, was making before the pandemic hit. So I snagged part of the set from the movie and built a makeshift horror section behind me here. So, as you can tell by my lovely quarantine hobo look here, we have been locked down since probably mid-March. About around March 15th, I got kicked out of my office, and there's enough doom and gloom in the world right now, so I didn't want to go down the road of like, hey, let's start the series with Cannibal Holocaust.
Oh, good Lord. It's unbelievable. I can't understand the reason for such cruelty.
No, let's not do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off kind of light. We're going to do the 1989 Tom Hanks, Joe Dante horror comedy, The Burbs. That's where we're going, kids. We're going to the suburbs. So, The Burbs is a horror comedy about an overstressed suburbanite and his wacky neighbors who are convinced that the creepy new family on the block, the Klopeks...
What is that, Slavic?
No!
They become convinced that this family may be part of a murderous satanic cult after one of their neighbors, Walter, mysteriously disappears in the dead of night. When I was a kid, and I grew up in video stores, and you would walk into the horror section of a video store, you might find 500 horror movies, or more. You turn on Netflix, you might find 50 horror movies, okay? That's the difference. My film school, my film education was a video store. I was exposed to a shit ton of really weird, rare movies. You would always have like the one clerk that knew horror movies, or you'd have the one clerk that knew action movies. And it's like you would go to that dude for the advice about what to rent that weekend.
Because obviously they don't watch enough movies. This is standard horror movie stuff. Prom Night Revisited, man. Yeah.
Here's a few film nerd facts for you. The 10-week shoot took place during the summer of 1988 and was a highly improvised production due to the writer's strike happening at the time. So they couldn't consult the writer. They had to go ahead and just kind of make it up as they went along. The Burbs was one of the only movies filming on the Universal Studios backlot at this time. It was filmed entirely on Colonial Street, which they converted into Mayfield Place. Now, Colonial Street, if you've been to Universal Studios, Colonial Street is the area they always refer to as, oh, look, everybody, to your left is Wisteria Lane from Desperate Housewives. So production designer James Spencer, who had worked on Poltergeist and Gremlins, was pretty sure he could turn the street into the neighborhood that Joe Dante needed to make The Burbs. But one of the sacrifices that had to be made was the Leave It to Beaver house, which is so iconic, actually had to be removed. They tore it down and removed it in order to put up the dilapidated Klopek house. Another thing that they had to consider was Ricky Butler's house, Corey Feldman's character. His house was actually the Munsters' house, and it was so recognizable they could never actually show the whole house during the movie. So if you watch The Burbs again, they never actually show all of Ricky's house. It's always hidden behind trees or framed out of the shot, and that's why he's always just over there on the porch painting it. Everyone repeatedly talked about how much fun they had on the set, with the exception of some of the people who had to deal with Corey Feldman.
What else could you do with those shoes?
Shut the fuck up, kid. We're trying to do some action.
Ready!
Watching Dick Miller verbally bitch slap Corey Feldman is seriously one of the highlights of the behind the scenes of this movie. So let's go ahead and take a look at the original theatrical trailer for The Burbs.
All Tom Hanks wanted was a quiet vacation at home.
This is what I need, Carol. I need this.
Welcome to Mayfield Place. A typical street in the Burbs.
Morning, Walter!
Where nothing much ever happened.
Walter's dog just took a dump on Rumsfield's lawn again.
Until the Klopeks moved in.
Klopeks?
Klopek.
No one goes in, no one comes out.
Neighbors from hell.
It was a nice place to live.
He said he thinks the Klopeks are evil incarnate.
Well, you're much too smart to fall for that, aren't you, honey?
But now,
Carol!
you wouldn't want to visit there.
Ray, this is Walter.
The Burbs.
I'm going over the fence, and I'm not coming back till I find a dead body.
Ray, do you want him to take your family, kidnap them, tear their livers out, and make some kind of satanic pate? We found Walter!
We got a real problem.
I hit the gas line, I'd run!
God, I love this street.
Tom Hanks.
I think we are overreacting.
No. The Burbs. It's one hell of a neighborhood.
Hey, honey, I think we should move.
One of the things that I absolutely love about this movie is how they treat the dark side of suburbia like an urban legend. The idea that there are secrets behind every closed door and every drawn shade, and that every backyard might have a secret, it's not far off. I mean, if you live in the suburbs or if you grew up in the suburbs, you know that weird shit happens in the suburbs, and it's creepy. I mean, it's inherently creepy, You've always got that spooky neighbor or the ghost house in the neighborhood, and some weird story about somebody a couple blocks over. And I really liked how they treated that. That was one of my favorite moments in the movie is when Tom Hanks he sneaks out to walk the dog and smoke a cigar, and winds up catching Corey Feldman and Art hanging out in front of the house, and they start trading kind of suburban ghost stories. And that whole scene just encapsulates the movie so perfectly, because it's this idea of suburban horror and this suburban darkness that lurks just beneath kind of the surface. So you have these idyllic, suburban tract homes with this darkness that's just hiding underneath. And I really loved that. And I really liked how they used the comparison to the Sentinel, where, the apartment is the gateway to hell, because it seems so normal. It's just, it's an apartment in New York, but it's the gateway to hell. So why couldn't, the Klopeks house or this, kind of house with a bad history be in some way marked?
It is a lovely night, isn't it?
Yeah, green sky tonight. Green sky at morning. Neighbor take warning.
Green sky at night.
Neighbor take flight. Did you ever see the movie The Sentinel, Mr. Peterson? It's about the old guy who owns the apartment, which is kind of like the gateway to hell.
No, I didn't see that.
Oh, well, I was doing some thinking. And being that their last house burned down and all, it's like maybe somebody left the gate open.
It's them. They're moving around again. It was a night just like this that had happened.
What happened, Mr. Weingartner?
Oh, it was a long time ago, Ricky. Hinckley Hills was a lot smaller then. Safer, too. You never had to lock your doors. Everybody knew everybody. I must have been maybe, 9, 10 years old. You know where the big mall is?
Yeah.
Well, there used to be a big drugstore down on the corner there. It had a big soda fountain in it. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy who ran it was a rotund guy, had glasses. His name was Skip. Lived over in Elm, had a wife, a couple kids, not too sharp. I mean, hey, the guy's 40 years old. He's wearing a paper hat, and he's making cherry cokes. It's a cinch he's not running for governor, right? Anyway, it got hot that summer. I remember it got real hot. It was sweltering. You know that heat where your underwear sweats and it crawls up the... Anyway, it's hot, okay? And they start smelling this really vile stench over on Elm, and they figure it's coming from Skip's place. And no one wants to say anything. I mean, what do? Go knock on the guy's door? Hi, your house stinks? So people are trying to ignore it, right? They're trying to pretend that it isn't happening. And you know those pine things? They're trying to cover up with those pine things that you put in cars. People are hanging those on their porches. Oh, you think that's funny, Ricky?
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah? Let me tell you what happened next, okay? The state health inspector shows up. They go over, they talk to Skip. He says he's got a sump pump problem. They leave. Hey, the guy's got a little sewer problem. He says he'll look after it. Everything's okay, right?
Yeah.
Wrong. couple hours later, there's smoke pouring out of the windows of Skip's house. The firemen show up. They go into Skip's house. You know what they find?
What?
Skip's family, dead, murdered by Skip weeks earlier with an ice pick. Yeah, the guy killed his whole family with an ice pick. Yeah. Yeah, just put him in the cool basement, covered him up with a sheet, and went back to making ice cream treats for the townsfolk. Only thing, Skip didn't count on there being a big heat wave that summer. You know what that was that all those people were smelling over on Elm, Ricky?
What?
Skip's family's bodies decomposing in the summer heat.
All right, we're going to talk about some spoilers here and some stuff about the ending. So originally, the reason the movie feels so weird now and it feels so cobbled together now, the first version of the movie had the Klopeks actually killing Tom Hanks and getting away with it. They also had another version where the Klopeks are completely innocent, making Ray and Art total nosy neighbor assholes. But as you can imagine, killing Tom Hanks, who was basically America's comedy sweetheart, was not high on the studio's priority list at that point.
Oh, good Lord. It's unbelievable. They can't understand the reason for such cruelty.
So they split the difference, and they made the Klopeks serial killers, but they fail to kill Tom Hanks, and he, escapes. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap it up for The Burbs. If you find yourself with some sweet video store nostalgia and can't get the smell of these VHS tapes anymore, head on over to atomicvideostore.com. The video store may be fictional and part of my Friday Night Frights film, but you can get a very real membership. So once you're there, head on over, fill out the form, and it'll beam back over to me, and I will send you a personalized membership card that will entitle you to be entered into contests and keep you up to date with online information and special events having to do with the production of Friday Night Frights once this pandemic ends and things somewhat go back to normal, and I can get that whole project back on track. Also, if you find yourself loving this Friday Night Frights t-shirt or any of the t-shirts that I wear on the show, you can find them at toxiccomics.com. They're all available for sale. They're our exclusive retail partner. They have a bunch of cool cult, horror, punk, you name it. If that's your wardrobe of choice, then by all means, they're going to have something for you. Plus, any purchases you make over there actually help support VCR Horrors and the making of Friday Night Frights. All right, everybody, I'm closing down the video store for tonight. Your movie is due back by midnight tomorrow. Stay safe out there, everybody. Remember, wash your hands, and I will see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.
Listen, now we're gonna make a run to McDee's. You want a quarter pounder or something?
Oh, no way! Hey, wait, you guys can't go now. It's the best part. I called the pizza dude. All right.